Now shut up. Welcome back to my channel, guys. So today we are going to be reviewing Black Widow, and this is a spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the movie or you don't want to be spoiled for whatever reason, leave. Literally, what are you doing here? It said in the title that this is going to be a spoiler review, so it's like, what are you doing here?
Click off.
Click off! But yeah, so we're going to be talking about Black Widow. We saw it last night on opening night, and just first general thoughts. We had a fun time.
We loved it. It was so good.
It was a good time. Was it the best Marvel movie ever? No. And we'll be getting into those reasons. I am, and Aoife is, very easily entertained, but we're not gonna let that get in the way of this review for you guys. We're gonna actually dig into what we, the negatives and the positives of the movie, okay?
We'll try our best at least.
Yeah. So let's just get into it. Okay, so first of all, I just want to talk about the overall experience of going to the movies again to see a Marvel movie, because it has been 2 years since a Marvel movie came out, which is crazy. I thought it had only been 1 year.
Yeah, it didn't feel like, I mean it did, but it also didn't feel like it had been that long. I think the fact that the shows had come out,
The shows helped.
like,
sure.
yeah, made it feel like it wasn't as much time, but yeah, like actually going to the theater and like watching a Marvel movie for the first time again was like,
It was
wow.
crazy.
Wow.
The parking lot was packed. So many people were there. We unfortunately, usually we go see the premieres for Marvel movies in IMAX, but it's been 2 years, so like we were out of practice. We didn't book the tickets in time. We'll get it next time for Shang-Chi, but so fun. It was just really great to see the Marvel like logo and stuff come up on the big screen again and get back into like the hype of the MCU. So that was a really good experience. No matter what people think about the movie, I think it's just fun to get back into that experience.
yeah, I agree.
Okay, so first I want to get the negatives out of the way of the film so that we can focus on the positives, because I like to, focus on the good things. For me, I think a lot of the negatives with this film come from things that weren't necessarily in its control. There was a lot of constraints, I think, surrounding this film. One of which was, of course, COVID and the pandemic. This film was pushed back like a year. So it didn't come out when it was supposed to, leaving 2 years of gap between Marvel movies, which then, of course, upped the hype for this movie.
Yeah.
Higher expectations were gone in than I think it would have if it had come out when it was supposed to, which I think can be a detriment for it. And then also, things are coming out of order. So this was supposed to actually come out before Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Disney Plus show, and there was supposed to be a scene where Yelena was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier and all that, so things were just a little bit disjointed in that sense. I don't know if you could sense that.
Yeah, I do think there was, like what you said, there was a lot of hype around it, but also, yeah, I think like this movie maybe, it was really good, but for it being the first one after 2 years, like the hype was really up, but the movie, I also just think the movie wasn't what I was expecting it to be. I really thought, maybe I was just like interpreting it wrong from the like ads and stuff and the trailers. I thought it was going to be really about like her past, like it would show a lot of it, and it didn't show like nearly as much as I thought it was going to, or like as much as I would have liked it to, because it only really showed her as like a young kid, and then like it kind of jumped 21 years later.
Yeah.
It didn't really show her in the program.
The ad campaign was definitely misleading.
Yeah.
And of course, and it was also the ad campaign was dragged out for years now. But that was another constraint I was going to get to, is the fact that Black Widow should have gotten, first of all, her own solo movie years ago.
Yeah.
This is like way, way overdue. It's insane that it took this long.
Because she was introduced in Iron Man 2,
yeah.
right? That's
She's been around for forever,
Yeah.
and the fact that they're just now doing a solo movie after she died in Endgame is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I thought that this movie it was like they were trying to jam in the entirety of a Black Widow like trilogy into one movie, which just doesn't work. I think because they're just, for example, the whole mystery around what happened in Budapest with her and Hawkeye, it was never shown in this movie. It was just talked about a lot. Like they just kept referring to it and talking about what happened. Whereas if they had actually given Black Widow a solo movie back in like phase 1 or phase 2, I think what would have happened is there would have been a movie more about her past, focusing on what happened with her in the Red Room and how all of that went down, and then would have like involved her hooking up with S.H.I.E.L.D. and with Clint and the whole Budapest thing. But instead it was jammed into like the beginning of this movie, and then the rest of the movie is also trying to introduce all these new characters while also giving Black Widow her solo movie and her proper send-off. And so I think the biggest issue with this movie is she gets outshined. Like she does. She's I don't think she's really the star of her own movie in a sense, which just sucks.
And of course that would happen.
Only
in like.
And people are gonna pick it apart because, it's because, you know, it's a female superhero movie. Oh, it's Captain Marvel all over again, which, don't even get me started.
Don't get us started with that.
Don't even get me started with Captain Marvel, because that movie slaps and I will fight till the end for it.
We will fight people if they talk crap about...
Yeah, it's just, she gets outshined. She's not completely the focus, and I see why they did that. I mean, really, this movie is to set up future characters that are going to be in the MCU, and not so much focusing on Nat's character development or anything like that, which sucks. Yeah, so I would say that's a lot of where the negatives come for me, because the pacing fell off because of that. It felt very slow at times and very fast at times. Like when they introduce Yelena when she's like grown up and she's under the influence of that mind control or whatever. I mean, that happened in a split second.
I think that whole scene was like 3 minutes or something. It literally happened so fast.
And I'm like that should be drawn out. Like, you should see her being mind controlled for longer. I just wanted more Black Widows in general. There was like such little focus on the Widows and the Red Room, which is like, that's what we want to see. Like, that's what we want to see. So like, and then she just was instantly like given that red puff of whatever, and she's like, whoa.
And they didn't even like really explain it much. I feel like before, I don't know, it was kind of weird.
That's like, it's like, imagine if it had been, even if she had 2 movies, Black Widow had 2 movies, imagine like the payoff of seeing Yelena again after she had been separated from Nat, like in a first movie or something, or with the daughter of freaking, what was his name? Jerkalev?
No. Hold on.
Oh my god. Whatever his name, Dracoff. Imagine seeing his daughter and the whole getting blown up thing, like in a first movie, and then you find out in a second movie that she's actually Taskmaster. Like, that payoff would have been so much better, but it was just so lackluster because it's rushed. It felt rushed, but slow at the same time.
I don't know how to explain it. It was super...
It was just, the pacing was off. It was very disjointed.
I will say, like, going back on the lack of seeing the Black Widows, like, they only appeared really like at the end of the movie. Like, you had to wait until the end. Even at that, they weren't really in it that much. Like, I mean, that scene with them fighting Natasha was like badass. It was really cool. But that was kind of like the only time you really got to see them fight, which kind of sucks, because...
And that should have been like a larger focus. Like, again, like with the beginning, there was like a really awesome opening scene where the credits are like kind of playing over it with showing the younger girls getting put into the Red Room and kind of like almost an allusion to like human trafficking and stuff. And I thought all of that was super well done, but it was just like in the opening credits, and I'm like, I want to see a whole half of a movie of that, because that's super interesting. Like with Nat, she was psychologically conditioned to be a Black Widow, as opposed to these newer Black Widows that are being mind controlled. And I want to see all of that. Like, that's interesting, but we didn't get that. And then I would say the last, like, negative that I really have is that this is the movie to kind of say goodbye to Nat, because she dies in Endgame. And that didn't necessarily feel like a looming presence to me at all. There's just kind of the end credit scene, which we'll get into later, of her grave and stuff. But I really feel that this should have been like a send-off, you know, like a tribute to her character, because, listen, we all have our thoughts and feelings on Scarlett Johansson. She is kind of a problematic person, but the fact of the matter is, she was, for a while, the only female superhero that any of us had to look up to and to see on the big screen. And for her to finally get her solo movie and it not live up to her legacy and give her a proper send-off just kind of sucked to me.
It kind of felt like a slap in the face to like, I mean, yeah, like
our cats are meowing.
But I mean, yeah, like you said, no, not everyone loves Scarlett Johansson, obviously. But like she has put years into this character, and for them to just kind of like do her movie like this, like where honestly, yeah, she wasn't really the main. Like she was the main character, but also wasn't at the same time. It just felt kind of like, yeah, a slap in the face.
Yeah, because it was like, don't get me wrong, it was a fun movie. I had a great time watching it.
Good,
we still got a bunch of positives to get into, but it didn't have like the weight that I wanted it to, you know?
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, this is a fun ride, I'm having a good time, but it doesn't have like the emotional punch that I wanted. But all that aside, there's still a lot of positives to get into, so let's get into those. I would say overall, the biggest positive of this movie was Florence Pugh as Yelena. She was incredible.
She killed it.
She killed every part. She killed everything. There was not one moment where I doubted the performance or anything like that. I mean, she was hilarious. I felt the most like emotion towards her, more so than Nat, because to her, that was real. The beginning of the movie, the 3 years with the fake family, that was all real because they didn't tell her, she didn't know what was going on, and you definitely feel that emotion from her. So she's funny, you're feeling the emotion, she's a badass, her fighting,
yeah,
beautiful.
So good, love her.
Beautiful. And she just killed every moment on screen, which is why I'm super excited that to come out of this film, that is going to be one thing moving forward, is she's going to be in the MCU.
Yeah. I remember one of my favorite moments. I loved the scene when they were breaking Alexei out of prison. Her flying the plane was so funny. Like, that whole scene was so funny. And I also just love, like, the fact that, like, even though her and Natasha were only like sisters for 3 years, like they really act like sisters.
Yeah.
And the way they're like, shut up, like
yeah.
Or whatever. Oh, sorry, I can't cuss. But like that's like how me and my sisters talk to each other. It's just I thought they had really good like sister chemistry.
No, definitely that
really
was
like
that was definitely the other positive, like big positive for me, is the chemistry between Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh. Like, it sucks that there was so much other stuff going on in the movie, because I would have been just happy like exploring those two specifically, just focusing on them. Not that I didn't love David Harbour and Rachel Weisz's performances and their characters, but it was just a lot to fit into this movie that I would have rather than focused just on Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson, because they were so fun. Like,
they were.
I freaking loved when Florence Pugh, Yelena. I loved when Yelena was bogging Nat for posing all of the time.
Oh, that was so
like, it's
funny.
so true. She is always flipping her hair.
She really does. She was the most. And then when she tried it out herself, she was like, that was disgusting. I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, she was.
I love that stuff.
She was so relatable, and like I like that they like called that out and stuff. They both looked incredible for the entire movie, but they weren't overtly sexualized, which I really liked, because as we all know, through the years, Scarlett Johansson has been horrendously sexualized, especially in the beginning movies, and the stuff, like, look up the interviews that she has had to go through over the years, because it's atrocious. Same thing with Brie Larson, just the stuff that they get asked is disgusting. But in this movie, you could tell that they weren't doing that at all. They were just badass. They were, they were roughing it. It was awesome. But at the same time, they looked good. They just looked strong.
I also thought, I noticed this a lot, Scarlett Johansson's suit was tighter than Florence Pugh's. Like, Florence Pugh's suit was actually like kind of loose. It was, I wouldn't say it was loose, but like definitely not like skin tight on her, which I thought was really cool. Like,
yeah, especially they probably prefer different things. Like, it makes sense.
Comfortable. Like, it's uncomfortable to have a skin tight suit. I also thought the white was cool.
Yeah, I liked the white, and I liked that it made sense that because they were in the snow. Like, it wasn't just like they were wearing white because it was cool. Yeah. I mean, it was, but it did have technically a purpose. And then also going off of the clothes, I loved how they had the vest bit that was the first piece of clothing that Yelena had bought for herself, was this like kind of ugly vest, but she like pulled it off really well, and she was like, I love all the pockets. Yeah. And then I liked that Scarlett Johansson actually wears that vest in Infinity War.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and she wears the vest in Infinity War like because she has like her sister with her.
That's so cute.
That's so cute.
Dude, I loved that scene. That actually probably was my favorite scene where she was
really good.
Where she was like, "Oh, you do love it. Like I knew you liked it." It's just so, like I said, yeah, their chemistry as sisters is so good. I loved it.
Talking about the other characters a little bit, I really did love David Harbour as Alexei. He was, of course, super funny. He's always funny, especially like in Stranger Things and stuff. So seeing him in the MCU was so fun.
Yeah, because we're huge Stranger Things fans, and yeah, to see him like branch out and do other things, especially as big as Marvel, like is so cool to see.
I do wish he had gotten maybe like one standout action scene because he is a super soldier.
Yeah.
He is essentially like a Captain America, and so I didn't think they necessarily showcased that a lot.
Yeah.
But like I said, there was just a lot going on in this movie, so...
They, like, tried to show it kind of when he was breaking out of jail, but, like, not really.
No.
I mean, he was kind of, like, rusty, too, so I mean, that was funny, but...
Yeah, but other than that, though, I really liked his performance, and my favorite moment with him was actually with Elena when they're in the cabin and he starts singing her Bye Bye Miss American Pie, which is the song that they listen to when they're escaping in the beginning of the movie. And I thought that was really sweet and it was really well done. And then, okay, so then Rachel Weisz as Melina actually surprised me. I thought going in for sure that she was straight up just evil. I thought she like might be Taskmaster or something, but they kind of do the double fake out where she is evil, but then you find out she's not evil.
Yeah. That part like tripped me out so much. I was like, wait, what's going on here?
So that was just a few of the positives that we wanted to touch on, and now I want to start talking about some of the reveals in this. So like Budapest, Taskmaster, I guess some of the Red Room stuff, and of course the after credit scene. Okay, so the first reveal I'm gonna touch on real quickly is the Red Room stuff with like the mind control and then the pheromones and stuff. I thought it was interesting, I guess, but not like as cool as you'd want it to be considering that's like kind of the main plot of the movie.
Yeah. The pheromones thing was kind of a clever way to like have it be set up.
I liked when she like broke her nose so she couldn't smell.
Yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, because it is like their goal in the movie, it's like the main focus. Yeah, I thought it could have been, or even just like been a bigger deal. What was going on.
Next reveal I want to talk about is Budapest. So they finally explain what happened between Clint and Natasha in Budapest, or Budapest as they said in the film, and I thought like the story of it was really interesting, that was how she like kind of initiated herself into S.H.I.E.L.D. was through this mission of getting rid of the Red Room and killing, what's his name? Dreykov.
I'm pretty sure. If we're wrong, just
Russian. Who knew? But I thought that was all really interesting, but like just show me it. I don't want to hear about it all the time. I want to see it, which just harkens back to like I wish there had been a movie that had seen that, but I did really like the story of that.
And it only got like subtly brought up too when they were in the train station and she's like, oh, we spent 2 days up here, but like I also thought they could have maybe done like a flashback of some sort, more like with Clint in it, but yeah, I don't know.
Another reveal is Taskmaster. So I did not see that coming at all, that it was the daughter. I don't know if like we're just stupid.
Yeah, maybe we're just dumb. I guess it's just like, we were devastated when the clip of the daughter.
I was like, that's dark.
We looked at each other and we were like, oh
I was like, holy
so I guess,
crap.
I guess we just like never thought that she could have survived too, because I mean, you obviously kind of find out that he survived it, but we just wouldn't have assumed that. She was like 10,
and because that was such like a character building moment for Nat, the fact that she killed that little girl.
Yeah.
I just didn't think that then the little girl would be alive. But yeah, I thought that reveal was done really well with her being Taskmaster and her being under the mind control of like the widows and stuff. I thought that was all done really well. I just wish there had been more Taskmaster. This villain that can mirror the movements of anyone, and it just seemed like an impossible fight that we never got to really see.
There was only one on the bridge.
Yeah, I really liked that scene.
I liked that scene too, because you could see her like analyzing Nat and like taking over her strengths and stuff, which was really cool. But yeah, that was kind of the only,
like when they did the flip.
Yes, yeah.
At the same time, like I just wish there had been more of that, because that was super interesting. But I mean, she's alive still. She survived at the end of the movie, so who knows? She could come back. I feel like we're definitely gonna miss stuff in this review, but just go with it. General Ross, who from the advertisements seemed like was gonna be this big part of the movie and was in like a couple scenes.
I think he was in it for at most like 2 minutes.
Yeah, like
yeah,
which
I forgot about him.
Yeah, it was just strange to me. It's like, then don't put him in the movie, you know, or put him in an end credit scene or something. It just felt unnecessary. Felt like there was a scene missing or something, like a cut scene.
Yeah, because he doesn't show up again until like the very end.
Yeah, and he doesn't even really do anything.
Yeah, and he's not even in it.
He lets like most of them go.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, what's your purpose?
It's like, maybe do something? I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about that after credit scene because I really loved it. I thought it was one of the best after credit scenes
I loved it.
that Marvel has done. So you see Yelena, she has her dog finally that she talked about wanting, and she goes to a grave which is under like the cherry blossom tree, like Natasha's mom was buried under, that she finds out earlier in the movie. And that's where Natasha has been buried, and on her gravestone it says, sister, daughter, Avenger.
Yeah.
Tears. Very sad.
You were crying.
It was very sad. That's why I wish that had been more of an emotional punch throughout the movie because it sucks, you know, that she's gone. But I thought that was really well done. And Florence Pugh sold it really well too. But then you see Valentina walk up from, if you don't know, she was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. She was actually supposed to be introduced in this movie first and then show up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but obviously the timeline like got messed up a little bit. And it turns out her and Yelena already know each other and have been working with each other for a little bit now, which I didn't expect.
Yeah, me neither.
Which means that Yelena is either going to be a part of the Dark Avengers or the Thunderbolts, or maybe some sort of combination of the two. So that means she's gonna be kind of a more complicated Black Widow, probably more of like an anti-hero. Yeah. For a little bit. Which, I mean, I think that's kind of a cool way to like introduce her character. You can tell she has such a pure heart. Like, yeah, I didn't see necessarily a lot of like evil in her. Yeah, I didn't see a lot of that conflict going on, so I'll be interested to see how that develops, if maybe it's because of Nat's death. Because then Valentina says to her, do you want to get back at the man that killed your sister? And Meanie first sitting there like, what? We're like, what do you mean? And she shows Yelena a picture of Clint. Now, of course, Yelena doesn't know that the reason why Natasha died is because she wanted to sacrifice herself so that Clint could survive, because he has a family and he has kids, and they loved each other. They were best friends. They both didn't want each other to do the sacrifice. I mean, they were literally fighting. They were literally fighting to not have the other one do the sacrifice. But it ended up that Nat did, and Clint didn't want that, obviously. Yeah. But that all happened on Vormir, like, out in space. Yeah. So there's no way that Yelena would know that. And so I guess she's just been told by Valentina that Clint actually killed Natasha, which is interesting. So I'm assuming Yelena's going to show up in the Hawkeye Disney Plus show next.
I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah. I mean, they're setting up things way into the future. They are. They are playing a long game here, which I really appreciate. Marvel has always been good at that. So, but yeah, I think that'll be the next time we see Yelena, is probably in the Hawkeye show, and I guess she's coming after Clint. She's coming after Clint for death.
I would not want her to come after me.
But yeah, and she's joining Valentina's team that she's starting to put together, which consists of John Walker, Yelena, and then I'm assuming probably Zemo. As well. Yeah. That'll be interesting. I still don't like John Walker. I'm like upset that Yelena's gonna be like on the same team as him.
John Walker's just so unstable that I think like he's easily manipulated, and that's just
which like I don't want Yelena to be manipulated.
Yeah, I think that too. I think she can be easily manipulated into. I mean, obviously you could see in the end credit scene that she was like, killed her.
So I'm hoping, I mean, you'd have to assume if she's going after Hawkeye, he's gonna like be like, girl, like I did not kill your sister, like this is what actually happened.
I actually tried to die.
But I guess we'll see. But yeah, so that was the after credit scene. I really liked it. I thought it was really well done, and it set up, it was a really good setup. It got me really excited, because like I said, Yelena was definitely my favorite part of this movie.
And I think that kind of will be cool to see Elena be like evil for a bit, but then for her to like really come back to reality and be like, oh, okay, he didn't actually kill her.
May be more of a complicated past and character development, which I like. Okay, final overall thoughts. I really had a good time with this movie. Like I said, I had a lot of fun. I would definitely see it again. It was just overall a really fun movie, despite some of my like qualms with it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a Marvel movie. It was still amazing. Like, it was so good. But yeah, we really enjoyed ourselves. We were laughing like throughout the movie and crying at some parts. But I mean, I still think they did a good job, even though there were some issues with it. And Black Widow is such a cool character. Like, so I'm glad we did. Like, now we're eventually getting her movie. So but it was really cool. I loved it.
It is. It's a Marvel movie, so you're not ever gonna really be disappointed, you know. These are like kind of nitpicky and, you know, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah, I think they did the best that they could with what they were given.
Exactly.
Like we said, if there was a movie years ago, it would have obviously been done differently. But I think they did the best that they could.
It's more on par with more of the Phase 2 movies rather than like Phase 3 or now Phase 4. Other than that, I really enjoyed it. So I would recommend go see Black Widow. It's a good time. And we got a lot of Marvel movies coming up in the year. Shang-Chi is next, which I'm so excited for. That is going to be so good. And then Eternals, and then Spider-Man No Way Home.
We still haven't gotten a trailer for it, by the way.
Yeah, I really thought there was going to be one in front of this movie.
Like, I can't believe that.
That's ridiculous. So let me know if you guys want us to review those movies as well. And let me know your thoughts down below if you've seen the Black Widow movie. Did you like it? What was your favorite part, favorite character, all that good stuff. So
yeah, remind us of stuff that we forgot.
Yeah, I'm definitely sure we forgot something. This is a learning curve for me, my first movie review on the channel, so figure out what works with how to set up these videos and stuff. But like and subscribe, comment down below. There'll be another video next Monday, and yeah, hags, bye!